Alright, hello. My name is Sam, and I'm going to be having my first go at doing a Shatterpoint Batrep. Thanks for checking out the video. If you like it, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see if I can get more regular uploads up. But for the moment, here we are. This is a game I played against my friend. I was playing Separatists, full droid plus Assajj, versus his Republic with Windu and Pons. So I had priority, um, and I drew Assajj and decided to go first with her. It's a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I advanced and jumped up to the middle and had a Magna Guard follow me, and then my opponent drew Obi-Wan and paid a force to put him in reserve and got that free jump and a bunch of heals, and then drew the Shatterpoint and went up with Rexy. So what Rexy did is he defensive maneuvered up. I believe he then shot at, and I think it was a focus shoot at Assajj on top of the building, and then got a reposition off the back of his thing. I think he did about 2 damage to Assajj. Yeah, there we go. So I took 1 damage and an expose, even through her hunker. And that's where that ended up. So yeah, also pushing her off the lovely little battle bus in our centre of the board. Scoring a happy little 2 points because he had some ARC troopers manning the back point. You see on the left there, we've got a fun little squiggle. He has his point and the left one, and I have my point and the very middle one for the moment. So on my turn, I end up drawing Kalani, and so it's time for all the droids to get a move on. The B2s basically slide up towards thing. The Magna Guard, who didn't get moved by Assajj, moves up there, and then Kalani himself advances and basically takes a pop at Rex and just puts 2 damage on him. Happy days. Doesn't trigger his active ability, so I pay a force to dash up the nearest Magna Guard and I whack Rex over the top of the head and deal another 3 damage, and I believe I push him off in a second. Yeah, push him off and I follow. Unfortunately, don't quite get him away from the objective, so it stays his, but I score 2 points and we're back in the middle. Yay, first 2 turns are always great in Shatterpoint. Yeah, this has cost me a little bit of force, unfortunately. So the Republic Commandos make showing now, and they defensive maneuver. And then I believe what they do is they move and shoot at me. Yeah, they just move up, if I'm remembering correctly. Who are they shooting? Yeah, I think it's Kalani's taking a bunch of shots. You'll see in the picture here, the back Republic Commander, he's slightly out of position, but we reshuffle him because the intention was there to shoot at Kalani, so it'll be moved in the picture in a second. Yeah, there we go. And Kalani takes a bucket load of damage. So he takes 3 damage, a pin and a strain from the first shot. And then after the second shot, yeah, there's my 5 expertise on the defense I roll on Kalani, which unfortunately, thanks to the pin, is not a whole lot of use. So I take another 2 damage from the second shot, and I do actually trigger the reposition on my expertise tree to just break the pin and the strain. Not 100% sure it was the best play. And then Rex, was it? I think it's I'm Always First Kid, dashes in and shoots at me. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, because when we were doing the triggers, his happens first, obviously. So he then deals 2 damage to Kalani, and I think, nope, you know what? Let's not wound Kalani on the 3rd turn of the game. And then my opponent has 2 Republic Commandos within range 2 of the center, and I have just Assajj, so now he scores 3 points. Not amazing. So I activate the B2s. I forget that they have an ability to spend a force to dash, so they do a move and then a combat action. Only one of them can actually shoot anyone, so I just pop some shots into the Republic Commandos. I'm not in range 2 of the objective in the middle, and because I've forgotten that they have ability to dash, this is a basically complete waste of time. As the Commandos have cover, I pay a force for saturation fire, but I am very quickly blasting through my force, and in the end, the Commandos, because he knows that my BE2s is not in range of the center objective, he spends his hunker token to dash one of the commando I shot at, basically around the objective to make sure there's 2 on that objective near the Magna Guard. And I score a glorious 1 point. So if you might have a guess at how this one's going to go. So here comes Pons. I believe he basically... No, this isn't Pons. This is the ARC Troopers. They move up, ingress, and just start contesting that point. And then I believe the other one does the same, ingresses at the back there. And then they start shooting. Happy days, movie, ingress. No, I'm wrong. I'm an idiot. This is Mace Windu's activation, and he's using the chargy thing. So he made them do a dash, and now he's dashed, and now he's moving forwards. And then he's just going to focus next to the center objective, because now he's basically securing that with 2 people. He's tying the side one, and he just scores a couple of points. I then draw the Magna Guards, and so it's time to beat up Rex. The far one attacks Rex, and I shove him away from the point, and I do a little bit of damage, wounding him and disarming him. Then my opponent opts to spend the hunker token for Obi-Wan's ability to dash him towards the bottom objective. And the idea being that if he ever unwounds, he can, and that is the thing, he can just quickly be there. Unfortunately, basically wasting one of my combat actions. I think I either end up not hitting the Republic Commandos, or I just did it in the wrong order and couldn't. But now it's Obi-Wan's time. And so I believe he advances, spends a force to jump, and then beats the tar out of my Magna Guards. Yeah, I've got the pictures in the slightly wrong order here. I don't know, because I'm an idiot, basically. And this is a very pointless picture, I've decided, because, yeah, we know Rex is wounded. And yeah, the Magna Guards take 7 damage, a disarm, and a pin from Obi-Wan's slap. And he shoves one of my Magna Guards way up towards the back objective, which means that he now has that objective. I then activate Assajj, and I jump across the bus and swing into the Republic Commandos. Dealing, I believe, yes, there's my force to jump. I think I end up dealing 5 damage. Nope, I don't, because I'm terrible at remembering. I had 3 steps down the tree, and so I realized I wasn't going to be able to wound the Commandos. So I went with the all the conditions, and I put 2 damage into them: strain, disarm, and expose. My opponent spent the hunker to dash, which took 3 damage, but because it's the Republic Commandos, he was able to basically climb back onto the bus, and so I spent a force with Assajj to jump back onto the bus to at least maintain parity on the center objective. But that means that Commandos are on 5 damage, so if I get another attack in, I'll be doing quite well. Well, here comes Mace. So he basically does his charge around the thing. He also moves Pons up as well. And now it is time... No, wrong. I've got to get these in the right order. This is Pons' charge ability. Pons then moves up, shoots into my B2s on the far right, and I believe does a bunch of damage, and most importantly, pushes them off the point. Yeah, here we go. 6 damage into disarm, into my B2 battle droids. And then pushes them off the point, scoring that one, which means my opponent has 4 points this round, I believe. So he's basically on the verge of winning the first struggle, and there's not a whole lot I can do. I draw Kraken, and I opt to move himself forward with his own ability, I believe. And then apparently not a whole lot else. No, this isn't Kraken. This is Grievous's. Grievous's ability moves Kraken forward, and he scuttles forward, because I got to get him into the battle and start doing stuff. I shoot at the Republic Commando, yeah, in Cunning Warlord on top of the bus, because I'm trying to trigger the reposition or the jump. And that will also flip the center point towards me because Assajj is still there, which I do manage to do. You'll notice I've got quite a bit of momentum because the struggle tracker has always been on my opponent's side of the board, but alas, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference. And Grievous basically gets the reposition and moves over to match where Rex is, because I'm hoping that if I draw the right struggle in the second one, that means Grievous will have that bottom point, if nothing else. Yeah, there we go. Assajj taking over the center point. And the Republic Commandos are very, very wounded. Why does Kalani... What do I do? Oh, I get some recovers. So I recover both conditions on Kalani. Off the expertise tree. I'm not sure why I've taken a picture of the Magna Guards. I get some more recovers somehow. How do I... Oh, it's the trigger for the attack, I believe. Yes, I think I just hit into the wounded Republic Commandos. I get quite lucky, and I get to give some more recovers onto Kalani. But now it's time for the ARC troopers, and they move forward, and they decide that Assajj Ventress needs to get knocked off the bus. So the first one deals 2 damage to her and pushes me back, and the second one deals a bit more damage to her and pushes her back straight off the back of the bus. Yeah, a little bit more damage, gone from 2 damage to suddenly 8 damage, a pin and a disarm. Not very nice, not very nice at all. But it can't be helped. Yeah, and then she gets shoved off the bus, which means if the Republic Commandos flip back, then my opponent will get that middle objective. But he does win the first struggle quite decisively, if I'm going to be brutally honest. And so I get to pick what the second struggle is. I pick the top one because the Magna Guards that Obi-Wan pushed away are contesting that top left one. I'm fighting over the middle left one, and I have my home one with Kraken at the minute. At least almost with Kraken. I think he is like the last one in my deck as well. Yeah, just a quick picture of the state of affairs for Struggle 2. This is Kraken's ability. He's making the B2s dash, so I dash the B2s and Ingress down to my home point and dash the other B2s towards Obi-Wan for that point. Kraken then moves forward and puts some shots into the ARF troopers and deals a whole 1 damage into pin. Very well done, Kraken. Nice to see you're doing the good stuff. And then I take a random picture that doesn't do a whole lot, and I show that, yep, I have all 3 of the objectives for the first turn of Struggle 2, which is a nice spike in my direction. Now, I'm not going to say this is Mace's turn, because I quite frankly don't know. Yeah, this is Rex's turn, I believe. I believe this is Rex unwounding, moving away from Grievous, and making Mace do a dash. Yeah, and then he just focuses and beats up my Magna Guards, which means they're probably going to get wounded, I believe. Yep, straight up, just a couple of damage to the Magna Guards, and they are wounded, which means the little advantage I'd gained now starts trickling back to my opponent. But it's Grievous time. I get quite lucky. I can't remember if this is the Shatterpoint or Grievous's actual card, but he scuttles forward and just wails into... yeah, there's a scuttle. Wails into Rex, and I believe just straight up wounds him again. And then don't straight up wound him. He basically pushes him back, and I use his ability to make the B2s dash away from Obi-Wan and the Republic Commandos to get out of engagement range, and I shoot at Rex again, trying to just knock him out. Yeah, unfortunately I am disarmed, which means that this shot is not going to do a whole lot, but hey, there's the disarm gone. One common theme of this game is that my B2s didn't do a whole lot. But between Rex and General Grievous, we do manage to put 10 damage into Rex, so he is wounded again, which is pretty decent for me, and he opts to spend a hunger token from his dashy to basically get out of the way. I think I at this point start remembering to take pictures of the priority objective, and it's Mace o'clock, I believe. I'm gonna hesitate to say who it actually is until there we go. Mace o'clock. Where's the second dash from Mace? Come on, pictures. Or is this Rex o'clock? No, this is Rex o'clock. Yeah, Rex made Mace dash into the center, and so this was an interesting play on my opponent's part because obviously Rex is removing himself from the board after this activation. But what he does do is he gets Mace to dash onto an objective, wounds my B2s, and then he dashes onto the objective as well to reclaim it for himself, and it does force a tie on the objective there because I have Grievous and Kalani, and there's Obi-Wan and Mace. So he's taken the objective, and then he's forced a tie, and it's going to be pretty tricky for me to actually get it back. The B2s are wounded, the Magnas are wounded, but Brex is gone. And currently, I've currently got 4 at the minute because I'm doing pretty good. And again, it's that center objective again. And I believe I draw the Shatterpoint, and I choose to go with Kalani. And this is a mistake. I should have gone with them. I think I should have gone with the Magnas because I'm pretty sure I mapped this out. I could have guaranteed, made sure I was winning this, but we don't. I go with Kalani. I move a little bit so I can shoot at Mace. I shoot at him, do a little bit of damage, spend a force to make the Magnas advance and do a little bit of damage. I believe in the end, Mace takes no damage, he says. But can't be helped. Here comes the Shatterpoint, which means it's Mace o'clock. He's in Jedi Master form, so he refreshes his force, and he just starts slapping people. He makes Obi-Wan jump back to get that far back objective, and then he jumps himself forward, and it's time to beat the tar out of my poor super tactical droid. Kalani only has 4 health remaining, and it's Mace hitting him, so yeah, Kalani is wounded. And so here's where I'm very much regretting not activating the Magna Guards. The reason I didn't was because I didn't want them to get completely turbo battered again, because they were next to both the Jedi, but I should have just won the second struggle when I could have. So he pushes Kalani back, and he advances slightly after him, making sure he's still within range 2 of that center objective. But what this does mean is that I should get that back, I believe. I can't remember how this happens. What has he got? What has he got that's doing this? I can't remember. Either way, it's time for the B2s to activate. So they move around. Yeah, okay, the Republic Commandos have unwounded at some point, they must have. Or Mace is still in there. Yeah. The Magna Guard are wounded, the B2s are wounded, Mace is just within range 2. And that's why it's still theirs. So I activate the B2s. We remember that we have an ability, so we spend some force, dash in, shoot at Mace, take back that center objective. I don't think we do a whole lot to Mace, but now it's getting close. It's Obi o'clock, so he reserves it for free. And gets the Republic Commandos back into the game. So they defensive maneuver up, and they put another bit of damage into the B2s, and then the second guy takes another shot and puts another bit more damage into the B2s. They're pinned, they're strained. They got 6 out of 8, and my opponent is now on only having to score 1 to win on his side of the board, but I'm still 4-0 up as far as the struggle is concerned, so it's doing okay. But starting to bleed out. So now I draw the Magnas, and so we basically flip to injure ourselves. I activate them, and I make a little bit of an error. The guy closest to the Republic Commandos near the center basically hits them, and the intention is I'm going to push him towards the other Magna Guard, so he can hit him as well. But what actually happens is the Republic Commando Obi-Wan hunkers and dashes away, which means the second Magna Guard doesn't get to do anything, because I chose not to hit Obi-Wan because I can't remember if he had a hunger token or not, but I didn't want to risk him getting a random dash and then suddenly tying the objective and me not winning the struggle, so I just opted not to hit, and I win struggle 2. A little bit awkward. Yeah. I think I've end up putting 3 damage on the Commandos in the end of that attack, but I'd get a couple of shoves and he dashes away. So now it's struggle 3, and my opponent chooses for 3 down the center. So the ARF troopers have the home one, his home one, which is their priority objective. Happy days. And I have my one. The clone commandos, yeah, they go, and they basically dash and reposition and climb onto the point with Mace Window's ability, and Mace then moves forward, beats up my B2s, and then they're wounded again. That was a little bit crazy, this battle report, but hey, I'm doing this by memory, and I'm sucking at it, apparently. But yeah, so Mace just beats the tar out of the B2s, pushes them back. I believe he wounds them. I can't remember him not wounding them. Apparently doesn't, actually. And then just scores 3 points on the struggle. Because we're currently tied on the center because of Kraken there. Who's this? There's a Magna Guard dashing. Who is causing this dash? I believe this must be Kraken, because both Magna Guards are dashing. One's dashing towards the center, the other is dashing towards the far objective in the hope that he can go and beat up the ARF trooper. Then Kraken engages in a bit of sadness, but basically focuses and punches Mace. Does manage to push him back. And that does net me the point. But then the ARF troopers go, and they focus and shoot into Assajj with the first shot, and Assajj is pushed back, which I do believe wounds her, and then my opponent scores a couple more points. Then I get Assajj, so I now immediately unwound, and what she does is shows me being absolutely useless at taking photos, apparently. But I believe she focused and hit Mace, trying to put some damage onto Mace, and then ended up moving back towards the center, but I wasn't quite able to jump onto the middle, I believe. Yeah, here we go. Puts a bunch of damage onto Mace with a nice attack. Thank you, Jar Kai. Then moves back towards the center with my... I couldn't quite jump up there, unfortunately, because I didn't have the reach to land on a spot. But I'm out of force because I'm terrible at economy. And now it's over your clock. So essentially, he moves to the ingress point and then jumps down to the far point and swings his lightsaber at my beloved Kraken and puts a ton of damage into him and expose and disarm. So not too good on that bit, but he's not wounded, which is pretty neat. So the priority objective for my thing is that far one, because apparently I'm only taking the odd photo of that. And then here's a terrible photo of Kalani, who's going. And here's a slightly better photo of Kalani. Well done. So I have a secret ploy that I'm trying here. I dash the nearest Magna Guard I can dash, and I dash the English point, and I get him on top of the high ladder. And I dash the B2s, trying to get them in position to do some tactical network support fire, hopefully. And then I move him out of engagement range of Mace Windu, trying to turn off that steadfast and protection bubble. And I shoot at the clone commandos on top of the bus. Now, I don't believe I wound them with Kalani, but what I do manage to do is get my tactical network ability off, and I give the Magna Guard on top of the bridge a dash down onto the bus, and he gets to hit the clone commandos, which does cause a wound. That nets me the center point, which is quite nice. It's not ideal, but hey, we're getting there, and I've got quite a lot of momentum. I just need one really good turn to win. Pons shows up, and he takes a couple of shots into my Magna Guard. He makes Mace dash onto the point and engage Kalani again to get that great big bubble of doom. That doesn't do a whole lot of damage to the Magna Guard, I do believe. Then Mace... no, this is Grievous. What am I talking about? Red arrows, foolish boy. So Grievous scuttles. I can't remember who makes dash. I think he makes another B2 dash, and he basically moves again and then swings at Mace, and I do manage to wound Mace, which is quite a nice, useful thing. We're getting there, finally. Back into 2 in the favour of my opponent. So then my opponent draws Obi-Wan's card and puts him into reserve, letting him do the jump and the heal to contest the Magna Guard on the top there. And then draws the Shatterpoint, which means it's Mace o'clock. So in a hilarious reversal, he basically makes Obi-Wan jump back down to the point where Grievous is, and Mace focuses and swings. I think he doesn't go for Grievous because there's no point because he's not going to do anything. He basically moves himself, focuses, swings at Kraken, and absolutely tears Kraken a new one, I believe. Yeah, because he's exposed. Thank you, coordinated fire. So that is Kraken gone, which means that my opponent has my home objective because Kalani's just out of range, the B2s are wounded, and Grievous is alone. That scores quite a few points for my opponent. Which is very, very unfortunate. So it's Assajj's turn, and she's got to make a serious play. So I control the middle objective with my Magna Guard. She spends a lot of force, essentially. She moves. She basically spends 2 force to jump to clear a pin that she has. Then she moves. Then she jumps up. Then she attacks the ARF troopers, and I believe she does wound them and manages to score a jump off her Makashi Mastery attack tree and moves onto that objective, taking it for me, which makes me very, very happy. And yeah, look, I've taken a photo. She's been wounded. Well done. Then, unfortunately, my opponent draws the Republic Commandos because I don't quite... I only score 2 points, which means my opponent needs 3 points to win. The priority objective is the top one, which is my one. So he draws the Clone Commandos. The one on the ground disengages from the Magna Guard on the ground, and the other one stays where he is. They focus and they shoot at my Magna Guard on the top. The first guy gets expose from the ARF troopers and puts about 8. I believe he puts 8 damage onto the Magnas, and then the second guy in melee puts 2 damage onto the Magnas, wounding them, scoring the center point, and winning the game for my opponent. Which is... It was a cracking game. I definitely could have won it. I have some regrets on what I did. I really wish I had just reserved Assajj on the first one, but for some reason I was deathly afraid of drawing the Magnas or the B2s, and I really didn't want them to go first. But they would have been much better than going with Assajj. But other than that, I just got to keep playing. And yeah, so if you like this, if you made it to the end, thank you. Please like or comment if you want to see more of this stuff. I'll be playing more Shatterpoint games and taking a bunch of photos. And I'll try and do this as regularly as I can. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end. Bye-bye.